A good night of Shabbos. This week's parsha is Parshas Bechukosai. In Parshas Bechukosai, we see in the beginning of the parsha, first it starts off by telling us that if we listen to Hashem's commandments, then we will be rewarded and Hashem will be good to us. But most of the parsha is really made up of the Teichacha. And the Teichacha is a list of terrible, terrible things that will happen to us. There's two Teichachas in the Torah, as we know. One of them is in this week's parsha. And it's a list of terrible things that can happen to us if we don't obey Hashem's commands. It's a very dramatic parsha. It's a very depressing type of a parsha. If you read through it and you see all these kind of terrible things, and unfortunately throughout our history we've actually seen these things come to life, unfortunately. And it's a very hard parsha to learn. It's a very difficult parsha to get through. It really is. And of course the parsha doesn't end like that. And Sefer Vayikra, as Bechukosai is the last parsha in Sefer Vayikra, Sefer Vayikra doesn't end like that. Sefer Vayikra ends on a different note, and that note is a small parsha about arachin, about what happens if a person makes a neder and he promises he's going to give a certain amount of money to hektish, for example. So let's say a person says, I want to give the value of a human being to hektish. I want to give my value, however much I'm worth, I want to give. So that's the different laws that the Torah talks about how much he has to give. If it's 50 shekel, or if it's 20 shekel, 30 shekel, 10 shekel, depending on the age. And the Torah goes into different parts of that. And then what if a person promised the value of an animal? How much money would he have to do if he does that? And that's really from there until the end of the parsha. This is very strange. We have this dramatic parsha of Bechukosai, which tells us about all the terrible things that could happen, and it ends off with kind of like a dry kind of set of halachas about how much money you have to give if you make a neder. And I think that the lesson is, I think the reason why this parsha of Arachin is after the parsha of the Teicha is to tell you that it's true, if you do bad things, then you will get punished. That's life. That's how it is. That's how life is. But never lose sight, even if you do bad things, and even if you're down and you get punished, you have value. Everyone has value, and I think that's what the Torah is telling us. I think that's what the Torah is telling us, that you could have the Teichacha, and I think it's really a lesson for us. People could go through difficult things in their lives. People could get knocked down, and people could suffer. They really could, and because of bad things that they did, and they may suffer for that. But your value, you have value. You're worth something. You're not worthless. And you always have to remember that. And that's how Sefer Vayikra ends, telling us, and I think the lesson that the Torah is telling us is, no matter what happens, no matter what you go through in life, no matter what you've done in life, you have value. As a human being and as a Yid, you have value. We all have value. Have a wonderful Shabbat.